and Vatican to bar the kind of contraceptives and so forth. So if we put the situation of Iran in that context, this is why I say it's somehow unique in that sense. Sometimes the Islamic Republic tries to reinvent itself. The reform movement was one of those moments. Khatami's government and his idea of creating a religious democracy, reconciliation between democracy and religion that he tried to do in Iran, obviously that one failed. The other attempt to reinvent the Islamic Republic is Ahmadinejad's presidency. Not necessarily in the same manner as the reform movement and so forth, but nevertheless, the current debate in Iran is about the possibility of not the possibility, but the reality that Ahmadinejad is taking back to the old days, the first days of the revolution, the country, because for him, 16 years of reform and the reconstruction, they failed, and we have to go back to the values of revolution. So that is another attempt, in my view, of reinventing the Islamic Republic, but obviously doesn't really help, because what the policy is and what the result of that policy is for the people, and what the government says, the Ahmadinejad as president says, they don't really connect. In other words, there is an awareness now, sorry, the French word, in Iran, that Ahmadinejad failed really to do what he promised to do. So this reinvention is failing. There is also another debate concerning the nature of Islamic Republic in Iran now. As I mentioned earlier, the title is Islamic Republic, so there is a republic, and that republic is Islamic, like in other countries is democratic or popular or whatever. So in the case of Iran, they call it Islamic. And for them, for two groups who debate the issue, there is a conflict here. Who is the source of legitimacy? Normally, when you talk about republic, the source of legitimacy is people. So people vote, people do this and that. This is the understanding of those republicanists in Iran. Those who would like to insist on the Islamic character of the regime, they say that an Islamic, it should be an Islamic state. They want to get rid of the republic, the word in the title, even not only in the practice but also in the form. And it says their argument is, since the supreme leader is exercising his power on behalf of the 12th Imam, who is actually hidden, so the source of legitimacy for the Islamic state or government is God. In other words, it's not the people who vote and so forth. So for those people, the whole issue should be revisited, and they are in favor of redoing the exercise, getting rid of the people's role, and consequently, obviously, in practice, it means the end of the semi-democratic exercise that exists in Iran. I'll get to this semi-quasi democracy later on. So this is a debate, and this debate is heating up because this group, the second group, talking about the legitimacy, the source of legitimacy being Islam and so forth, among them Ahmadinejad and his governments, they are actively, and I'm quoting them, they are actively preparing the ground for the return of the hidden Imam. So in this context, talking about secularism and other characteristics of a democratic system is a very difficult, really, challenge for anybody. So, in the case of Iran, I would imagine, as well as any other case, democracy has a form and a content. In Iran, they do not, those form and content, they do not always enjoy a peaceful coexistence. This debate is an illustration, really, of this situation. The form is much more elaborated than the content. Elections are a good manifestation of this abnormal situation, this anomaly. The screening process, as I alluded to earlier by the Guardian Council, is so complicated and influenced by political and sectarian considerations that if you put your name as candidate for a position, you never ever know, you are not certain what is going to happen really to your candidacy. So this is why political exchange, political gambling, political game, political process plays a significant role. For example, during the last presidential election, Moin, who was minister in the Khatami's, Minister of Higher Education in the Khatami's government, and the candidate for reformist, he was eliminated. His candidacy was rejected by the Guardian Council, and after the pressure, the manifestations, and talking to the high-ranking officials in the country, the Grand Ayatollahs and so forth, finally the Supreme Leader intervened by saying that the Guardian Council should authorize him to stand candidate. So this is why I say I was talking about how political really game is important and in terms of this process. If a candidate goes through the net that I described earlier by pressure or by political intervention or whatever reason was, there is a good chance that the outcome would be fair. So this is why I say that I talk about the contradictions and so forth. So in other words, if the Guardian Council accepts somebody's candidacy, then you can say with some degree of certitude that the result of the election was fair. Unfortunately, this situation is fading gradually. During the last presidential election, it seems that Mr. Ahmadinejad was selected or elected or nominated or whatever terminology you want to use by the intervention of Basijis, of the Revolutionary Guards, by vote rigging and a lot of fraud involved in that. So that process also is becoming more difficult really to have confidence in. Today in Iran, the question in my view is not whether the country is becoming more secular, but the question is if it goes back to the first days of the revolution. I mentioned the case of Ahmadinejad and what he tries to do, but apparently he's not the only one. The Supreme Leader is in agreement with him. The activities that happened during the summertime, control of female maid dressing, hairstyle and other things of that nature are not really good news for Iran and for those who believe that Iran is getting secular. There is also